begin with the clerk please calling the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Here.
Trustee Hayes?
Present.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Here.
Trustee Schallmoser?
Here.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Here.
And President Richardson.
Present, thank you. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, agenda item 4 this evening is approval of the minutes, agenda item 4A, of the Board of Trustees meeting from April 17, 2024. Are there questions, comments, or edits to suggest to the clerk for the minutes? If not, Chair would like a motion to approve. May I have a motion, please? By Trustee Schaller, thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
By Trustee Van Ryn, thank you both. Clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schallmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
And President Richardson.
Yes, thank you very much. Agenda item 5 tonight, I get my paperwork. I'm a little disorganized. Actually, I'm a lot disorganized. Sharon, I think you gave it to me here. Let me just find it. I've got it. Clumsy, clumsy, clumsy.
I'm a nice person.
Oh, thank you. Here we go. I apologize. This evening we have under President's remarks a proclamation we've done in the past, and we've done many of these types of proclamations over the years. This is relative to Jewish American Heritage Month. I'll read the proclamation, and Trustee Schallmoser will move the question, and I have also asked Trustee Hayes to second the question when we get to the call for the vote. Whereas Jewish immigrants to America, ever since their first arrival to our shores in the 16th century, have played a central role in the creation, growth, freedom, prosperity, and strength of the United States of America. And whereas the history of the Jewish people and the enduring values of the Jewish faith were vital sources of inspiration for the founding of the United States, the Civil Rights Movement, America's global leadership in the cause of freedom, Americans' commitment to social justice, and many of our country's most central tenets. And whereas following the rebirth of Zionism and the return of the Jewish people to the Jewish homeland, the United States was the first country in the world to recognize the State of Israel in 1948, and over the years has developed a deep friendship and unbreakable alliance with the State of Israel based on shared values and mutual interests. And whereas for 42 years, every president of the United States has declared a period of time for celebrating the contributions to the United States of the Jewish community's history, heritage, culture, and since 2006, the month of May has been presidentially declared to be Jewish American Heritage Month pursuant to a bipartisan resolution of Congress. Now, therefore be it resolved by the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Lake Barrington, Lake County, Illinois, that the Village of Lake Barrington encourages all residents to take time to celebrate the contributions of Jewish Americans and Jewish American culture and heritage to our community and to our country. May I have a motion, please? So moved. Thank you by Trustee Schallmoser. May I have a second? Second. By Trustee Hayes. Thank you both. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schallmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
And President Richardson.
Yes, thank you. Agenda item 6 this evening is the first opportunity. First of all, I want to go back under 4A. Chair will ask unanimous consent that the record remain open for 5 business days for any necessary technical and conforming amendments to the minutes. Without objection, so ordered. Agenda item 6 is the first opportunity in the board, or for the public rather, to address the board on non-agenda items. No one is here this evening, so we can move to the consent agenda number 7. We discussed this in the Committee of the Whole, but A is consideration of a proposal for professional services with Tria Architecture of Burr Ridge, Illinois, in the amount of $5,500 for a schematic design of renovations to create a break room space in Village Hall. B, consideration of a proposal from Baxter Woodman for for a source water protection plan. C, consideration of an ordinance amending the Village of Lake Barrington Village Code, fees, charges, and other amounts payable to the village relative to Title VII, Building Regulations, and Title VIII zoning, Title VII, Chapter 2, Building Permits. And D, consideration of a temporary use permit for the Field and Flower Garden Club of Lake Barrington to hold a plant sale at Friar Farm on Saturday, May 18th, 2024, from 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And E, there is no E. So I apologize. So with D being the final one, Chair would like a motion to consider in block agenda items 7A through 7D as stated in the agenda and previously heretofore. May I have that motion, please?
So moved.
Trustee Hayes, thank you. May I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Perkins. Clerk will call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you very much. Agenda item 8 this evening is the Treasurer's report. Mrs. Hirsch.
All righty, good evening. You have tonight the financial statements for the month ended, for the 11 months ended March 31st, 2024. We're almost done. We have one more month in our fiscal year, so I'm not going to really highlight it too much tonight. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense, and we can have our accruals next month and finish up the full year, but I will report where we're at. At this point, we have assets of $3,321,000, our liabilities at $340,000, and our equity is $2,981,000. Total revenues to date are $4,367,000. Our expenses are at $4,944,000, resulting in a net loss of $577,000. So each month we pull out what we call the extraordinary items to come up with a comparison from year to year that's more sort of normal operating expenditures and losses. And year to date then for 2024, we would have $647,000 of revenue, net income, compared to last year at $989,000. So I have been going each month through all the accounts, the ones that are sort of, that stand out, to kind of just explain those differences, but I will wait again until next month to really dive into that, since we've got one more month for the fiscal year to end. If we turn to the budget to actual report, which is my page, sorry, I'm going from my report here. My page 12 and 13, but I'm not sure what it's in your report. It's page 12, 13 of the financial report. And you'll see we're total revenues of 90% actual budget, so for 11 months we're right on target. And then the next page, we're 82% actual budget for expenses, so a little bit low. We will, this month, we will accrue our sales tax rebate, which will pull that up a little bit, and a few other things will pop up there for the end of the year to kind of pull up closer to, I believe, closer to budget. That's all I have for the general fund. If there are any questions, happy to answer those.
No, this is a routine thing more for the benefit of the record and those who might watch later on, is we deliberately plan to run at losses in years where we are in a position otherwise to have our retained earnings are over a certain amount. We maintain 70% of operating expense annually as surplus, retained surplus. When we get over there, we do what is a de facto tax rebate, and we do that on the basis of accelerating and enhancing road and culvert repair work, and that's what this contemplates.
Absolutely. This is a budgeted loss.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, moving on to the motor fuel tax fund, we have current assets of almost $400,000 in there, and once again, we're holding on to money in this fund until next year. We'll spend money from this fund on roads in the village, but for now, that fund is just taking in revenue for the year. And then the last fund to mention is the water sewer fund. So I'll just go through my report, that would be a little easier. We have a net current assets there of about $1,748,000, and there's nothing unusual in that fund to mention this month as well. So it may sound we've not been doing anything in the village. We are running, everything is running as normal, just nothing unusual to mention. Any questions on those before I go to the warrants? Okay, and just a few usual items on the warrants as well. The first one is for Arrow Road construction, and that's $11,200. $720.57, and that is the final payment on the 2023 road program. So that's all finished up now. They've done their seating on the shoulders and all those kind of things they have to do to finish up their program. The next thing that's just a little bit unusual is HR Green, and that's for $1,492.36, and that was preparation for the Recreation Trails Program grant that I believe has been submitted. And then lastly, state graphics for $2,701.61, and that is for the spring newsletter. And there was nothing unusual on warrant B to mention tonight, but happy to answer any questions on any of the items.
Questions for the treasurer? That's easy. We'll be done at 7:30. This is great. Okay. There being no questions further for the treasurer, chair would like a motion to approve in block agenda items 8A through C. A, approve the financial statements as of March 31, 2024. B, pay bills in the amount of $451,061.06 as listed on the accounts payable warrant A dated May 9, 2024. And C, pay bills in the amount of $55,138.82 as listed on the accounts payable warrant B dated May 9, 2024. May I have a motion in block? So moved. Thank you. By trustee Schalmoser. Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
By trustee Hayes. Thank you. Clerk will please call the roll.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schalmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you. Agenda item number 9 is the administrator's report.
I don't have anything to report this evening.
All right, thank you. Agenda item 10 is the clerk's report.
No report this evening.
All right, we can move to the committee reports. 11A, branding and comms. Trustee Van Ryn.
Thank you, President Richardson. A few things from me. My husband and I participated in the native plant sale from the Citizens for Conservation, taking advantage of some of their discounted plants this evening, and there was a nice variety there. The staff was wonderful, so congratulations to the CFC for another great native plant sale. I'm looking forward to participating in the Memorial 5K at LBS in a couple Sundays, May 26th.
Running?
We're walking, my daughter and I. So we did it last year, and we didn't want to miss it. So anyone who has not signed up yet, I strongly encourage you to participate. It's a lot of fun. And then last but not least, I would like to report that we're up to 226 followers on LinkedIn, so our growth continues, and thanks for all that are supporting our content there. Thank you.
We're going to be in South Carolina for Memorial Day. Otherwise, I'm thrilled to support the event, and I donate to it personally just because they're doing a great deed. And our former colleague and our ongoing dear friend Jim Thompson has done yeoman's work, as is his way, a tireless volunteer. So thank you. 11B, economic development, Trustee Burke.
Thank you. Two things quickly. One is revisiting North Point Parkway. Got 2 bullet points on North Point Parkway. One is that I went and confirmed for myself that earth moving is continuing on that property. It's actually kind of stunning. I drove into Canlan in the back lot and looked at it from the back. You can't really hardly tell what's happening, but when you go around the back, you can see that they've dug out a thing that's probably 15 or 20 feet straight down. Like,
wow.
And they're just getting started. So it's pretty kind of striking how much excess dirt is on that lot. So you can see where they have hit where they think is pay dirt, where they want to be, and it's it's in the center, it's deep.
Are they going to do the whole lot?
Yeah, yes. So they're slowly but surely, and they've created a little pathway. They're using the entranceway to Canlan, and they've put a gravel drive in there, and that's how the heavy equipment's going in and out. So there's no specific plan yet, but this is going to allow that lot to then become developed, and so I'm staying close to the owner's representatives who are keeping us apprised of. They say there's a lot of interest in that lot now that the dirt is being moved, so stay tuned on that. But that's exciting. Related to that, last time that we met, I was given some direction from the board that we would continue to pursue the ownership of North Point Parkway and the subsequent SSA in order to improve it and be and share the cost and pay it back. And I know that Mr. Bateman has initiated some contact with the business owners' attorneys.
I sent them a copy of our memorandum of understanding draft that we had previously showed to you.
Right. So, so that starts the process rolling, so it's going to take time for sure, so it's not anything's going to happen quickly, but the business owners have I notified them that I was given that direction from you to pursue this, and they're all on board with that, so now we just have to take care of the legalese business, and Mr. Bateman's working with their attorneys to get that process rolling.
Do you have any visibility, have you had a chance to drive over in the Savannah neighborhood to check on what the visual change out their back windows might look like?
I have not, but the person to your right has.
Marvelous. Chair recognizes the administrator.
Thank you, Your Honor. I drove out there last week, or it was either last week or the week before, and you really aren't able to see any of the work being done.
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, so that everybody understands that when we found this out, Sharon was very proactive and put an email together and sent it to their HOA president for distribution. So what we didn't want is people being surprised by earth-moving equipment. So kudos to Sharon for that. And getting a hold of their HOA president, which was great, and he responded and he said, send me what you want and I will send it out. And he seemed nonplussed, and we received no feedback.
No, nothing, no calls.
So that's good news, and that means we've also handled it properly, and we just told people, all we know is that the dirt's being removed. There's plans to develop that. We do not know what it is, and we will keep you apprised as we get new information. So we're just staying way out in front of it.
Marvelous.
And it does not seem, when you drive around, honestly, until you get into Canlin's back lot, you don't even know anything's happening there. Like, you really, that's how kind of protected it is and how high up it sort of sits. So that's good news. So it's not bothering anybody, and it certainly isn't disturbing anything. So more to come on that. Just wanted to let you know where we were in that process. But it's a marathon and not a sprint. So it's not as if every month we're going to be like, aha, we got all these things happening. We'll keep you apprised. The other thing on my report is revisiting some activity over at the retail center on Northwest Highway, where the old Domenico's and the new Lake Barrington Steakhouse is going. Continue to talk with Sean McHugh, who's the owner. He's been a great partner. He's keeping us up to date. He's doing a tremendous amount of maintenance and upkeep and things that hadn't been done over there, and so his tenants are extremely happy about that. I've seen them both, and they're like, he's fixing everything. It's great. Like, he's really after it. So it's important, and he's putting his money where his mouth is. He told me that was his first priority, is to make sure his tenants were happy and make sure that everything, there were no leaks, all the HVAC was working, all the lights were working. He put up some new lights that are actually nice. They've actually softened the lighting, so he took some of the big old, we had this issue at Kelsey Roadhouse, big old like sodium vapor yellow lamps that hum and rattle and blast out into space, and put some more subtle lighting out there.
Wonderful.
Not at our request, but he just didn't like the look of it and knew it was kind of just all over the place. So he's really doing some good stuff. And Sharon and I are in constant communication. We've had meetings with him. He's sharing his plans with us. He wants to engage with us about what to do with the property. And one of those things is, we've mentioned to you that he's very interested in the monument sign. We found some of the old work that Karen initiated with some design concepts. We shared them with him. He's very excited about them. In fact, it really kind of stimulated some thoughts in his head, and he thinks he likes some elements of those. So he's already initiated, I believe with Sinorama, that they're starting to look. Now, we've created an expectation that the village, that we have a ability to provide some funds, potentially matching funds, for signage in that gateway area, but he needs to just put his plan together, show us what he wants to do, and allow us to both, in effect, approve it and agree with it if we're going to invest in it, and that it meets our expectations as well as meets his. And he's moving pretty quickly. Like, he's telling me he's really doing a lot of work on that, because he said the monument sign's an important element for him to have. out front, because he just believes the signage there is so poor that nobody knows they're there.
So you can do anything with the awning?
Yes, thank you. You make a great straight man. He is changing his awning. I mean, the awnings are staying. He's getting new awnings because he's getting new design, but there'll be black awnings. In fact, in his most recent email, he just sent me a design concept and asked the question, it's $3,500, would the village be able to support him in a matching grant sort of way with that? I said, I think we can make that happen. So he's just really thrilled, and he's making a lot of progress. To that end, the steakhouse, he says, look, Andy, we're just trying to really do it right. I know I keep kind of pushing it back, but we're not in a hurry to make mistakes. We're just going to take our time and get this right. So it's probably now moving more like late June, early July, when he thought it could be April, May. And I get that, when you're he was trying to be optimistic, but the reality is there's a lot of work that needs to be done that goes into making it right.
Were the original fixtures and so forth part of the deal? I mean, did he keep the kitchen equipment and stuff?
Yes, if you think about it, the way the sale went, effectively the assets were purchased because the property is owned by somebody else. So when we say the Domanicos sold to Sean McHugh, what's interesting is Sean McHugh not only purchased the assets of the restaurant, but then went on to purchase the whole retail center, right? So in effect, it was both. He bought both. So he owns inside and outside.
That helps.
Yes. And as he said, our investors thought owning that property was critical because that's our commitment to the long term. I mean, Galati's has been up there forever, and what he's saying is we're not planning to put a steakhouse in there that's in there for 3 years. We want it to be there, and if that's true, we want to control our rent destiny. We don't want to be beholden to anybody else, and we want to control the aesthetics of the property, right? And so that's why we love him. He's local. They're not investors in retail centers. They're restaurant people, but they understood the value of owning their real estate.
And has he given any indication, it's been my layman's guess, because I'm not a developer, that Allie's sister's business next door and then DB Menswear are nice complements in terms of upscale brands, reinforcing what he's seeking to establish?
You just keep getting better, Kevin.
This wasn't rehearsed for everybody.
It seems rehearsed. Coincidentally, I visited Nicole just today. She says to say hello to everybody. I had not actually been in there and had a chance to tour the shop, and then we sat down for quite a while and talked business. So a few things that we talked about. She also has a new awning, so she's going to submit her invoice for that for a shared expense with us. So we'll be looking for that. So heads up to the board, we may have a few things to approve from an economic development standpoint, both the awnings for, hopefully maybe even in group, we can look at the awnings, we can look at the monument sign and take a look at that and decide what we want to do as a board.
Does the monument sign deployment affect his soft opening of the place?
No.
Okay.
No, he sees that as a priority, but it's not something that needs to be completed before he opens. What he's worried about opening is just having everything set inside, outside, and menu and all the other, and staff hiring. I mean, he's got a lot of work to do to get that done. So the other thing I wanted to say about Benta Vintage is that we did some brainstorming about and first of all, I would say Nicole was extremely appreciative that she showed up in our newsletter, that we had a highlight on her in the Lake Barrington newsletter. And then she also got a freebie in the Barrington, the Country Magazine, Country Magazine? Yeah. Country Magazine, a really nice write-up on her that didn't cost her anything. And she was thrilled with that. And she said, in fact, she had people come to her store telling them they're there because they read these things in our newsletter and that they read. So she says that kind of stuff works. She said I probably can have 5 or 6 people who came because they referenced seeing me in one of those 2 documents, We brainstormed some other things. She's going to bring in, we're going to bring in Suzanne Core from the chamber. She has Nicole has no shortage of ideas, by the way. Her brain is always, right? It's just going. And so she was, and I said, great, let's sit down with Suzanne and let's talk about some of the things that she wants to do. That ties in with what Trustee Van Ryan and I have been talking about from a comms perspective in terms of potentially funding some additional pieces on shopping and dining in Lake Barrington and some of the local magazines. So it's all connected. So we're just trying to work our way through that and figure out, and Teresa's chomping at the bit to get the green light to start working with some of these things to put these together, and we'll get there. So everything is really going in a positive way, and both, and Daniel at DB and Nicole at Venta Vintage are both thrilled, that this new steakhouse has really come together so quickly, and when you think about it, it really has. I mean, you always worry those places are going to sit fallow for months, if not years, and that whole transaction was quick, and now he's very committed to being up and running and doing this for a long time. So the rising tide will raise all boats in that retail center. Everybody will benefit, and they're doing a lot of cross-promoting and other stuff. And Kevin, to your point, they all seem thrilled to think they're all very complementary brands, which they are.
Yeah.
Really the same demographics going to eat there and shop in those two shops. And so they do get a lot of the walk-in traffic too, of people before or after dinner stopping in to do a little bit of
There's certainly a place in the community, in the region, rather. He's finding a way, since he owns the center, and now all three restaurants, or all three businesses are tenants. Frankly, you just look, we have a lot of great casual dining opportunities in the region, but they're going to upscale a little bit, and that's kind of nice. I think that fills a need, and I think there's a demographic that will support it.
No doubt, and I think one of the things that we want to promote when we start communicating about dining and shopping in Lake Barrington is, if you think about dining and what, to the point you just made, we actually have a lot of diversity in what's offered, and so it's not one-stop shopping. So, and when you add the steakhouse, you're going to have the higher end sort of, white tablecloth dining, but you have everything kind of in between. And therefore, that's a good article, Dining in Lake Barrington, you put the umbrella over it, the eclectic collection, and then you can have a little summary of each one. So it says, here's all the restaurants, here's what each one is, what each one does, so come and dine in Lake Barrington, because we have a lot of variety, something for everybody.
And how much do you think there's a potential for the home, kind of the upscale antique, artsy, we've got a number of them along Pepper Road now, and do you think there's a tie between that can be driven by communications and other things?
Yeah, and that's really kind of what Nicole brought to me. She says, I'm learning all the businesses in here and realizing there's a lot of similarities, and we have a lot of what she would say home goods type stores.
Yeah.
And you also would include, All-American Reclaim, because they have both a retail furniture and furnishings and other things, as well as if you're going to do a build-out or a rehab or new floors or whatever. So it really, I think we really can position it, and her point was, I'd like to try very hard to position it not just as general shopping, but actually kind of a home goods shopping destination. Tattered Teaks is another one, so Kate Marker Home. I mean, really, it's kind of interesting when you look at it. And she says there might be 6, 7, or 8 retailers that are somewhat in a related business, and wouldn't that make a good article? So, and what Nicole was saying about that is, if you can make it a destination, then it's not a one and done. If people are going to get in the car and drive here, not just from across the street, but from Barrington or from Cary or wherever, they're not just going to her store. They're going to her store, and then they're going to Kate Marker, and then they're going to All-American Reclaim, and then they're going to Tattered Teaks, and then they're going to Winterberry, and she said, and if you can't find something to buy in one of those 6 shops, you're not trying. That sounds like a good tagline. So I think she's already written the article in her head. So all really good, all positive, so there's a lot of things going on there. I'll keep you apprised of all of that. So, and Kevin, thanks really for leading the charge on that discussion, because you're leading it to all the right places. So I will be back asking for support financially for some of these businesses and these articles. Some of it budgeted, maybe some of it not budgeted, but with all the money we're saving on the water and sewers.
That's right. Well,
She just smiled. I just want to let you know, she just smiled when you said all that.
I'm glad Mrs. Hirsch gets diversity of people spending money. You know, I was tired of carrying the load all by myself.
We're trying to help out. So thank you, that's my report.
Thank you. I'm sending to everyone as a courtesy copy, and I meant to do it at the time. When the article in Country Magazine came out, I wrote Nicole a note, and I'll send you all the letter that I sent her, because, you know, all of us have been around either startups or growth companies in our lives, and there's something special and unique about entrepreneurs, and we get a lot of them who come through our doors. They bring a lot of enthusiasm and passion and ideas and creativity. That's the genius of our system. It's why we've built the greatest standard of living in the world. And we need to always affirm that here entrepreneurs are welcome, and in fact they are applauded and rewarded. I won't read what I sent her, I'm just going to forward you all the letter, but my wife clipped it for me, and so I made a point of sharing it with her, and Ally, I'll copy you on this too. I meant to do it at the time. I sent the letter on March 18th, which for an Irishman to do any serious work the day after St. Patrick's Day showed my commitment to your sister and her business. So.
Okay, and thank you for that, and she's very appreciative of that. And by the way, just a note, Nicole left a good, job in corporate America to strike out to be an entrepreneur about 3-4 years ago when she started this. So she knows what corporate America looks like, and she had a successful career, and she said, but, she just kind of came upon this almost by accident and really got passionate about it and thought, this is how I'm going to go make my living. So with any entrepreneur, and you know this, and many entrepreneurs know this, you're singing for your supper every single day, and that is the thing that she reminds me of. She says, wow, I have a great week, and I'm so excited, then I have a bad 2 weeks, and I'm not excited, and then I have a great week, and so is business ownership, right? Yeah. That's how it goes, and you start to learn the cycles and the patterns, and not to put too much into either one, So she knows we're here to support her, as do our other businesses. That's the most important thing. They all do, and they all appreciate it, and they know this board in total is supportive of business, and we're doing everything we can to be business friendly. So
I can kind of envision on a Saturday morning kind of thing, as we invite those allied companies into the community room at 8:30 in the morning and talk about how synergy can be fostered and how we can support that, because the Pepper Road businesses you were just mentioning, Tatter Teaks and the others over there, are great resources for our community. All-American Reclaim is another good one. I'm close to the end of my time, so I'm looking back. I'm getting nostalgic now. I'm starting early. But we had a plan, and we wrote it down 20 years ago, and we followed it, and God forbid it worked. And I will frequently say to my wife, it's almost like somebody had a plan, because we did have a plan, and we honored it. And the finance stuff, Peggy's done such a brilliant job for us. We can do this stuff because we have the ability to finance a lot of it, and we can do that because you make sure we stay.
You guys, no, it's not.
Well, a lot of our.
I'm just keeping track of what you're doing. That's
I know it doesn't always feel this way, but the probing, thoughtful, penetrating questions you ask.
You like it, huh?
Yeah.
Not to like it, but you
That's right. I will go next because it's C, external relations. All of you were kind to reply. I'm part of a mayor's conference next week outside of Denver, and as I always announce, I attend all these meetings not at village expense, but at my own. And it's focused on small to mid-sized communities. And so each of the participating mayors, and there's about 70 mayors from around the country, we were asked to provide 3 of the current challenges or opportunities we deem significant, and then to give a also important category, because they know it's hard to just nail down 3. But given all the input the board provided, number 1, continued economic development to create growing levels of sales tax to keep property taxes low. 2, defending municipal IT systems and infrastructure from cyber attacks, and I want to thank council for that recommendation, as well as some of you. 3, continued efforts to streamline and digitize village processes to make operational workflows more efficient and more easily accessible by residents and businesses. Other key issues, continued focus on creating and protecting open space, developing locally based renewable energy sources to complement the existing power grid. And while the school system is operated by the elected Board of Education and the appointed superintendent, we support efforts to improve the effectiveness of our schools as they continue to deal with the aftermath effects of the COVID lockdowns. And lastly, an ongoing examination of ways to mitigate against the impact of rising costs of operations. That was Ms. Peterson's recommendation. For example, waste and recycling collection costs are just an illustration of it. And there was a pre-call this morning, about 15 mayors joined, and the interesting thing is, you think of the old Venn diagram, we're probably 60% overlapping with peer communities around the country. This particular organization has 2 parts, Forum for Community Leaders and the Community Leaders of America. Also welcomes city council members. So if any of you are inclined to come, it has to be at your own dime. Village doesn't pay for that travel for me or anybody else, but you might enjoy it. I'm trying to seduce Andy into coming to one. It's a lot of fun too, because it's just us who are elected. And you know that other people have people come in and fill the room and voice strong opinions. We're not the only ones, and so it tends to be late at night after the dinner, but conversation does occur that's very robust. The other thing is, I attended this past week, and this goes to the whole notion of defending municipal IT systems. Of course, the city of Wichita, Kansas just had a brutal hack. There have been some others here in the region that haven't, I don't know, been announced, so I won't mention the communities, but in the northwest suburbs. This is serious. That was the meeting that Sharon and I and Jim and Peggy were having before the committee of the whole with our IT guy, and I've asked him to take the recommendations and stoplight them with kind of a reporting grid. And one of the best practices is he will be a standing agenda item on every committee of the whole to report on cyber readiness. I attended a 2-day conference this week on China in Washington, D.C., and part of it was the economic issue of American companies have invested an immense amount of money and time both to develop the China market, which is a significant and important market, but also supply chains have moved over many decades. And so there are issues that we all read about that are in the news, and what was interesting was the national security-focused elements of that panel. It was a 2-day conference with multiple panels, and I mean, quite impressive speakers. It is the only issue in Washington where there is robust bipartisan agreement and cooperation, which tells me the intelligence must be terrible. Not to ruin your night, but we are aligned on that, and the work that we're doing now is just to get ready. Some other time, maybe in a committee of the whole, I'll run you through some of the work I've done on this, because I have the answers. Why are they interested in small towns? And what specifically is being sought, and what the motives are, and how it fits into a larger geopolitical framework. Fascinating stuff. A lot of ex-senior Intel. And Intel, not the computer company, although they were also on the but intelligence community and national security community. A lot of guys like Rich.
I know nothing.
So that's my report. We can move to 11D, Finance, HR, and Administration. Trustee Hayes.
Committee needs to take a break time. First of all, thanks Peggy and team for the budget. That was a lot of work. We've had a lot going on this year, and we're going to let the project rollout on the IT system we talked about in the committee of whole. We are going to pick up where we left off on this PTO discussion. We revised the manual. We'll get that about midsummer, let the permit season go through and let some of these other things get into motion, and then we'll pick that up. And probably in the September timeframe, we'll probably bring up that topic again. But, yeah, it's been very, very busy. I feel like you got a third job here. So that's all I have to report tonight.
Third, fourth, and fifth job here.
We won't tell you then what President Richardson said when you were a few minutes late to the meeting.
Slacker.
Yeah, no, I said, let's volunteer him for more stuff.
He said, let's volunteer him for more stuff quick, and I said, I don't think that's a good idea.
I'm going to leave my hearing aids at home.
Well, I learned one thing years ago when I was active in Blessed Sacrament Parish in Alexandria, Virginia. If you're late for the meeting, they volunteer you for stuff, so always show up earlier on time. 11E, this evening, Roads and Infrastructure, Trustee Schalmoser.
Thank you, President Richardson. Rather late week this week. I had a complaint from one of the residents from Barrington Harbor Estates for speeding. So we're going to look into that tomorrow. We have a call, Sharon and I, with this resident. Just coincidentally, as we're here in the meeting, the same resident emailed me a picture, just a delightful picture of about 24 children in the subdivision. So there's nothing more important than protecting our residents from speeding and other harm, especially our children. So we take this very seriously, and we will address it and implement signage or whatever the right remedy is, and we'll look at all components of that.
Questions for Trustee Schalmoser? If not, 11F, Public Safety, Trustee Schaller.
Thank you, President Richardson. Lieutenant Kerg, while you're stepping up to the podium to tell us what's going on in the Lake County Sheriff's Department, I think last month you talked about the computer-aided dispatch and the research that the county is now involved with, and I don't know, the Wakanda Fire Department is part of that too. That implementation is started and going well?
Yes, we implemented a new CAD system, a new records management system, jail, the whole system has been renewed, and it's new software for us. So, yeah, everything seems to be going very well with it. A couple of bugs that we're working out, of course, and we're working with the company with that. But yeah, it's a very nice system. The old software was outdated and it was desperately needed.
Those were the village updating, obviously, all of our IT things like that. Scam-wise, what's happening?
Nothing out of the usual, just the normal things. With the warmer weather, I tend to think we probably get more ruse burglary attempts, so I would definitely let the citizens be aware that those are always ongoing. But you know, if you don't know the person, ask for identification. Don't open your door for them. Don't follow them outside. A lot of times they try to get you in your backyard to point at a tree or something that they say is leaning against a power line or something like that. They distract you, and then the other people working with them, their associates, go in your house and you know, they'll attack the usual spots where they feel that people hide their valuables, you know, under mattresses, in dresser drawers, that whole thing. And oftentimes they'll try to attack elderly people. Not usually physically, but those are usually the people they target.
Target, yeah.
So definitely got to be aware of that. Also, I'll just add that for everybody, with the warmer weather and school ending soon, you know, we do see a rise in car burglaries usually in the summertime months, so definitely do not keep your valuables visible in your car. Keep your car door locked. Definitely don't keep your key fobs within your vehicle. Some people have a tendency to do that, and you're just inviting somebody to drive away in your car. So I would definitely advise against that. So, and as always, if you see something, say something. Definitely, you're never putting us out. We'd love to respond and find something that it's not what you thought, and we can all just say, you know, everything's good, or we find something that definitely needed our attention and we caught it rather than hearing about it a couple days later. So definitely, if you see something, say something.
Lieutenant, I have a question on that by way of example, because this happens in cul-de-sac neighborhoods where people use us just to turn around.
Yes.
But this was about 2 weeks ago. It was in the evening, about 9:30, and a car was sitting there with the lights on and the motor running, because I could see the exhaust. And they were just there for about 25 or 30 minutes, and I almost called you because, and then they pulled away, because you don't know when someone's casing the neighborhood. And
Like I said, if you don't, you're never putting this out, and if we have a higher priority call, we'll make that call whether, we're able to get there, but there's a lot of nights where, there's a lull in the action and we're able to come check it out. And it could be somebody just, on their phone, but it could be something like you say, up to no good, so please.
Well, and that's where the fear is, and this is what someone else said to me, you're going to call her tomorrow, aren't you?
Someone else your wife?
Yeah, someone else in the house that I live with and I'm married to said, don't be Mrs. Kravitz. The guy's just making a turn, crying wolf, and that's a legitimate complaint. And so sometimes I hesitate in calling you guys when I see a little something out of the ordinary, unusual, because I don't want to cry wolf. And so how would you advise citizens, because it's a legitimate threat, a legitimate conflict. I want you to come if I think it's really bad, but at what point is it just me being a crybaby? And I don't want to crawl you so much that you think when my number comes up, okay.
I mean, I would trust your instincts, like in that situation where you see a car and you take notice of it, and then you go, somewhere else in your house, and then you look back out 5 minutes later, they're still there. You have that uneasy feeling, pick up the phone, give us a call. We handle those types of calls every day.
Okay.
So it's not, you're not, like I said, you're not putting this out. That's the service you're paying for.
Well, thank you.
And if it eases your mind, anything, I call my local police department too, so it's,
And you're in the family, so.
Yeah, it's better to be proactive than something happen after the fact. In LBS, we did have some vandalism. Had people seen something and called, it might have prevented it, or at least allowed us to get a better handle on who the perpetrators were. So after the fact, it's too late, in many cases. So, yeah, if you see something unusual, pick up the phone. That's what they're there for.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wakanda Fire Department, I want to thank them. I reached out to them about having an ambulance for the 5K run, which LBS is having, which Therese is walking in. I'm volunteering. I watch one of the paths, watch the people come off. And of course, former trustee Jim Thompson is seeing that along with Nick Sauer. So they've responded, and Lake County Sheriff's Department in the area likewise will be there. So that we have good local cooperation between the departments. The Wakanda Fire Department, interesting comment at their last meeting, and that has to do with lithium batteries and electric vehicles, and the concern that the department has, I might have mentioned it before, about if there's a fire in an electric vehicle with the lithium batteries, it is a real challenge to extinguish that fire because lithium does not respond well to water. So, especially if that vehicle is in a garage, and all of a sudden you have a fire, and you try to put water on it, it can be a problem. So it was at one time they said they wouldn't, that they wouldn't attack it. Well, they have to try to get the vehicle out of the garage. But then I read something where there's a blanket you can put over the vehicle. But these are very, very costly. Wakanda Fire Department and Barrington Countryside don't have those blankets. So just be aware of the fact that electric vehicles are obviously growing, but there is some problem with lithium batteries, and the substitute lithium batteries that people are getting are not necessarily, in many cases, original, or they're knockoffs, and they're not as well as the original batteries, so you don't know sometimes what you're getting with a lithium battery. Just as an alert.
But our gratitude to the Wakanda Fire Department. I think they send out their annual report, which we have. And the Barrington Countryside, their meeting is coming up next week. We'll be in attendance for that. So thank you.
Terrific. Questions for Trustee Schaller? Then 11G, Open Space and Special Events, Trustee Perkins.
Thank you, President Richardson. Just real quick, the Sunset Serenades at Friar Farm are starting next month in June, June 20th, then July 18th, and August 15th, from 6:30 to 8:30, so third Thursday of the month, from 6:30 to 8:30. Bring your blankets, chairs, enjoy some, wine, whatever, cheese, crackers, whatever. Listen to some good music. And then Barn Stomp, October 5th from 4 to 8. And then we have, I just heard today from Sharon that we have we were able to get some participation with a little Christmas holiday kickoff. So there'll be more information coming, but be a fun little holiday festival. Okay, and that's it.
Terrific. The summer concert series, that's Jim Thompson's legacy, and it's really a popular event. It's great fun.
It's getting more and more popular.
Thank you. Questions for Trustee Perkins?
All right, everybody take your phones out and check the time.
Okay, I'm sorry to do this, may I interrupt? Sorry. Would the board indulge me and go back to 8A, please? 8B, excuse me. I noticed a footing error while sitting here on the warrant, though all the warrants as listed are correct, the total was wrong. So since you approved a different total, I think we need to revisit that.
Are we talking about A or B pay?
Warrant A, it should be $265,967.47.
So not 451?
Correct.
I'll do an amendment question right now. 265.
265. 967.
967.
0.47.
Okay. Chair will reopen agenda item 8B. For a technical amendment, Chair would like a motion to approve an amendment that changes the amount set forth from $451,061.06 to a corrected number of $265,967.47. May I have a motion, please? So moved. Trustee Schallmoser, may I please have a second?
Second.
Thank you. By Trustee Hayes. Thank you. Clerk will please call the roll on the corrected amount.
Trustee Burke?
Yes.
Trustee Hayes?
Yes.
Trustee Perkins?
Yes.
Trustee Schaller?
Yes.
Trustee Schallmoser?
Yes.
Trustee Van Ryn?
Yes.
President Richardson?
Yes, thank you. 7:58. 7:58 on my phone. All right, we're out here by 8 o'clock.
Has that time ever been beaten before?
Yeah, once when I was sick.
Yeah, it was, actually. I know a guy.
45 one time, I think you were ready.
Yeah, of course. These meetings will be more efficient but less fun. That's okay. Agenda item 12, there is no old business. 13, no ordinances. 14, no resolutions. 15, no new business. Agenda item 16, second opportunity for the public to address the board. There is no one from the public in residence. 17, closed session. There is no need. There is no business under 18. Chair would like under 19, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
By Trustee Van Ryn, may I have a second? By Trustee Perkins, thank you both. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.